Get it done. Anything else you notice on this one? What about this part? Yeah, footnotes. These budgets can, 2 pages of a budget can take you days because you're doing everything with the calculator, right? You're sitting there with your calculator, coming up with this amount, which corresponds 8 times 2 times 3 times 500. Maddening. Absolutely maddening for a non-math person that can do that. Okay, let's look at the really complex one, and that is the federal grant package. You're going to love this one. This one took a year and a half, if not 2 years to do, and it involved many people. A good number of whom were on this floor, like Prof. Hink, Prof. Lee. It involved consultants. I have a friend who was also an English major and named her computer Bersilac after the Green Knight. Mr. Collins, the Green Knight, who went into grant writing, and she's now a consultant, and she had expertise with this type of grant. And she helped us considerably, wrote chunks of it, edited chunks of it, slapped our hand, helped us with the budget. This whole thing is what we turn in.
Did you turn it in PDF
Yes.
format?
No. We had to submit each of these little things on the left as separate deals, so it took hours to submit. And you're sitting there punching this and you're thinking, I hope my internet connection doesn't go out. And then you're thinking, I hope they actually got something. And then you have to wait like 2 days for emails of confirmation to come back. So you're sitting there afraid to go take a shower, to turn on the computer. It's quite exciting. And we haven't even gotten it, so we don't know if we're going to get it. And here's what it looks like. I'll just scroll through. Sing out some observations, if you would.
There's a lot more of a form.
Yeah, this.
What does that mean in this section? What are you supposed to put in there?
There are way more lists and far fewer paragraphs.
Okay, now we're to the part we actually wrote right here. Okay? All the beginning part was just forms we had to fill out before we started writing.
And you guys didn't do that as you were uploading it, right?
Oh, no, we started on those. We printed them off and filled them out, 2 or 3 weeks ahead. And should have done that sooner had we not already done that on other grants. We kind of knew. Notice how the pages break. They tend to break in sections. That doesn't just happen, as you all know from your writing experience. And if you're putting in diagrams and charts and dealing with page breaks, you have to really kind of orchestrate the placement and the length of subsections of a grant. This whole thing was 50 pages, so you really had to say, okay, we're going to do 10 pages on this section, and we're going to have these charts in it, and then you write around that.
Well, and I remember when you were working on the McNair grant talking about, okay, I have 2 extra lines here. I need to find some new data to enter in, like some sentences to add.
Don't waste 2 lines.
Right.
No. Don't want to waste 2 lines. And they had all sorts of real squirrely things about, these are the things you can put in single space, and these are the things you can put in double space. And everything has to be Arial 10 point. Blah, 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 blah. And it goes on.
Are those quotes or what are those?
Yes, those are quotes from students. I'll blow it up a little bit so you can see those. This is the online learning thing, and we had to make the case that we really needed to do better. So this is a faculty member frustrating to be working on a course. It kind of humanizes it, and that was one thing our grant consultant said. She said, put in some quotes from a survey. So then we had to go out and do the research and do the surveys to be able to create this. And there are little quotes from students in there as well.
So these are the online surveys we took last year?
Yes.
So you guys were pestering us about.
Contributed to some
Okay.
of this. It's too small. Quotes from accreditation reports, summaries of meetings, blah, blah, a lot of research in that section. And they were evil people, and they didn't just say turn it all in as 150 page, because then you could get like 3 lines of the section A at the top of the page the last bit of section A and start section B on the rest of it? No! They made us turn in like all section A is one chunk, all section B is one chunk, and then they added up the chunks, which sent everyone freaking out in a big way. Because then you're adding up pages of all your chunks, you know? It was quite interesting. Notice that you have to do timelines. This is a timeline for 5 years of the project. This is an overview, and then there's a very detailed timeline. This is what I meant by being a novel. You've got to have all this figured out in your head. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
So you have to have a lot of research and like
Yes.
proving that you're not just dreaming. You actually
Exactly.
did the work behind it.
Could one person come up? We're like in part 2 of 5 parts in this grant. Could one person sit behind a computer and come up with all this? No, which means it's collaborative writing. In college, you do a lot of individual writing, but in the real world, you do a lot of collaborative writing, and it's very messy. That takes longer, but you get really good ideas from lots and lots of people.
And like bringing them together. And
Yeah. And so then you got to get into technology, and where you're going to store your drafts, and are people going to comment on the drafts electronically? And we had a really good team who was quite comfortable with using technology in that way. I wanted to show you the budget. This is a pretty interesting budget here at the end. You see more lists, blah, 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 blah. And the lists all have to correspond. And so essentially when you're writing this, you've got 3 or 4 subparts that are the key pages, and they all have to interrelate, and you cross-check them and make sure that they're all in agreement, and everything else is written around that. It's quite an undertaking, a lot of editing, even some diagrams, lists of courses, more forms, and finally what's called a budget narrative that explains the form with the budget. And what is that? Travel. How did you get to saying we're going to spend $3,168 a year? Parking, $50. Now, when you write lots of these, you have what's called boilerplate. You have kind of a typical amounts and phrases that you can do, so it's easier once you've done the first one to kind of pike off with other things that you've already done. And it's easy to get examples of how other people have done them. And our grant consultant had some really great ideas, like combining some things to save space, so all the cost for year 1 goes into a very succinct little space, which saves a lot of time. Now keep in mind, we haven't got this one yet. We may not get it, but if you hear a long scream, just when it's like campus next week, you'll know we got it.